Hi everyone, this is Lori here. I wanted to bring you kind of a special video, kind of different than what I normally do. This video is about how to effectively study in a group, and even more specifically, how there's different roles and characters within the group, and each one of us play a different role. And that's something that I feel like is not talked a lot about and does need to be talked about more. Now this is a longer video, but I promise you that if you watch this entire video that you'll become more effective as a study group, especially when you can be able to identify different kinds of characters in the group and roles that people play, their strengths, what they add to the group, their weaknesses, and maybe also some interventions of what you can do to study more effectively together as a group. Never been somebody that's been real big about studying in groups, but because in my first degree I studied all by myself. It was definitely just, I felt like I retained more and I kind of did it my own way. But then in nursing school it was a totally different situation. Someone invited me early on to a study group, and I was like, okay, I'll try this, but I didn't think that I was gonna like it, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was a time, nursing school is super stressful, and so it was kind of a time for me to be able to spend time with my friends and be able to go over different things and still learn a little bit. Groups also reinforce what you learn. They help bring laughter, and also they help you recall stuff for tests, and a lot of times they help clarify things too. I always make sure to still study, because I think if you look at study groups like this, I would look at a study group like the studying before and the learning of content, class, all that, that's the meal. And then the study group's kind of like the dessert. So if you look at it that way, you're going for a dessert. And so you won't be disappointed if you look at it that way, because it's just dessert. So anyways, good group size, generally, especially for nursing school, 3 to 4 people. If you do any more than that, sometimes it gets kind of tough. Make sure that the group knows what they're going to be studying and also what they need to bring. So usually things like their books, laptop, class notes, things like that. Make sure that that gets brought. Make a list. Another tip, make a list. Make a list of those clarification points that are needed. So, I saw a lot of literature out there. I was doing my research, and I saw a lot of literature out there on how to be an effective study group. There were a lot of different ideas and methods, but there wasn't a whole lot about actually the members in the group. It seemed to me everything was more focused on the activities rather than the actual people and roles that people play within groups. So I wanted to do a video that went over about these different characters, these different roles, and also shed light on some of the upsides and downsides of each character or role in the group, and also some ideas of ways that you can help either redirect or refocus, encourage, support these individuals. A lot of times we'll play different roles, and so you may be more than one person here, and you may gravitate naturally. I think people gravitate naturally towards certain roles within a group, so sometimes that can be a good and a bad thing. And I always want to recommend switching up roles. I think that's super important, so everybody kind of gets a taste of what it feels like to be certain things. So let's get to it. Let's talk about the roles. First, starting off with the leader. They're the person who's the organizer of the group. They coordinate everything, they get the flow going, they get the date, the time, the place. A lot of times they'll make the itinerary. They want the group to be efficient. They don't want to waste time. They're really big about that. Number one, they are the glue. They're the glue for the group, okay? They coordinate things, they help get things started, they make things stick, they get everyone on track, and they get things going. And really, honestly, if the conductor, the leader, whatever you want to call it, if they weren't there, a lot of times these things wouldn't even happen. Nobody wants to really study if they don't have to, and so when you're forcing people to get together to study, that's amazing that one person can do that. And they're also people pleasers. They want to make people happy. They want to do what they can. Nobody really wants conflict. People just want to get along. Them being people pleasers, what they want to do is they basically want to try to find the best solution for everybody. How can they, make everybody coordinate? And unfortunately, it's just one of those things where you can't make everybody happy. It's just impossible. Good communicators. I think overall that leaders, conductors are great communicators. They have to work between a lot of different people. They're playing telephone and they're letting people know what's going on, and that's why they are direct and they're not going to give a big old long love letter. And sometimes they may tell you things that you don't necessarily want to hear. They're the messenger. As we always say, don't shoot the messenger. Focus. Now, group focus. They, besides putting the times and dates together, they also put together, sometimes they'll do like an itinerary for people or assignments. They'll hand that out, and I think that's an amazing idea, by the way. That's a great way to be efficient with your group and get people on track. So a little tip up there to make sure to do an itinerary and assignments before you come. That gets everybody a little bit prepared before they come. So they take on a lot of the workload. They're some of the hardest working people. They take on more of their fair share, and a lot of times we forget as a group member that them coordinate those times and schedules. We forget that that takes time, and that's a big job, and really that's all. Is there can be some conflict. They have a big job, and a lot of times what happens is when they're handing out schedules or saying, hey, we're going to meet at this time, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, or you get this assignment. Some people may feel a little bit of agitation or frustration. There may be conflict with the leader or the conductor. They can come off almost as if they're bossy, which really I think they're just making very direct decisions. And sometimes people, when you give them direct decisions or tell them to do something directly, people can be like, oh, I don't like how they said it. But really, I mean, sometimes just getting rid of the fluff and saying, hey, you know, this is just what needs to be done. This is when we're going to meet. That obviously can sound almost like you're telling someone what to do, but at the same time, what else do you expect people to do? Write you a big old long love letter? No, it's not going to happen like that. It's just, no matter how hard they try, they just can't make everybody happy. There's just no possible way, or at least 100% possible way. And sometimes they might even put more on themselves or promise things that they can't deliver. So sometimes we do see this with leaders in groups, and sometimes they can't deliver everything. You can't make everybody happy, and a lot of times what happens is the leader, they're just trying to get the job done, they're trying to be decisive, and you just gotta do what you gotta do sometimes to be able to move forward. The third thing is that sometimes they may overlook things. They have such a big job and they have so many tasks that it's easy for them to overlook something, and it may seem like they're trying to be unfair. That person may feel like, oh hey, I had to do this last time, or oh hey, that doesn't work for me, or that's too far from my house, or that they're only paying attention to so-and-so's time. So definitely that's something that kind of comes along with the territory with leaders. And then a final thing that may be a downside of a leader is that sometimes there is some favoritism that they may play. They may feel that someone helped them before, and so they owe some kind of credit or priority to that person. Maybe they take that person's suggestions more, or they try to schedule things closer to that person's house, or different things like that. And we've all kind of been in those situations before. Be flexible. Yes, be flexible. Let me tell you, that could be one of the biggest things that you can do to help them. Offer to find the place for them. Where are you gonna study? So, couple things. If you offer to do this, that's a huge thing. Sometimes just finding that alone, even if it's your house and you can offer that to everybody, that's a big help. Couple things though, if you're going to offer somewhere, it needs to make sure that it's quiet, free of distraction, and you can be there long hours if you need to, and that it's kind of relatively close to where everyone lives. And like I said, you can't please everybody, but you can try somewhat. Offer to come up with ideas for assignments or the itunerary. That's super important. You may even want to start typing the itinerary or getting a rough draft or format for them. You can do a Google's Doc for them and then get it going. That's very helpful. Also, another thing how you can help them is to be very specific how you can help. These individuals, because they are control freaks, you want to make sure to tell them exactly what you're going to do. Don't just sit there and say, and I hate when people say, let me know if I can help. No, girl, no. No, girl, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to tell you. I'm never going to tell you, ever going to tell you or ask you to help. But if you tell me, if I'm the leader and you tell me, hey, I'm going to study chapter 3, or I'm going to do the itinerary, or I'm going to find a place for everyone, or I'm going to text everyone, that is very helpful to them, and they appreciate that because they're not the type of people, they're usually going to give up the control of those type of things by just asking people. To be reliable. These individuals like when you do what you say you're going to do, so group, what is it? They're usually the one who reads every single thing before they come to the study group. Often they are, and I consider myself this person sometimes, likes to do this to books. You see all that highlighting in there? Yeah, they like to do that. So now you know about teachers. So they read everything, and often they're usually high achievers, and they may get really good grades, score really well on tests, and they learn best when they're helping other people, when they're sharing that information. They love to do that. They retain things best when they do that. And they can be extremely helpful. These individuals, a lot of times they may come from some kind of previous experience of insecurity or lack of confidence, or someone making them feel dumb or stupid or whatever in their past. And so what they do to make up for that is they work really, really hard and they study really hard, and so they have so much information a lot of times, but they also want to teach that information in a very kind way because they want to avoid making anybody else feel stupid. They're often creative. They love to create. They love to find interesting and fun ways to learn. That's how they remember. And they're good cheerleaders. Where am I? I'm gonna have to use this for my cheerleading pom-pom. I don't have a cheerleading pom-pom right now, so they can easily get lost in detail. It's a problem. Sometimes I have problems with that. So one of the things is definitely an itinerary sometimes can help keep them on track. So that's why that's so important. And then they don't like to be wrong, especially in groups. They're okay with being wrong. Like, I know for myself, I am totally okay if someone corrects me, but you have to do it a certain way because I think that it is their pride that they studied so much. And so if someone does something incorrectly, you really want to maybe, it's really tough in a group because you don't want the incorrect information, but maybe just putting something out there like, oh, I heard this too, let me check on that, and putting that on your clarification list. You know, they don't want to feel embarrassed. They don't want to feel like they worked that hard and then didn't grasp the concept. That's just kind of one of those things. Another thing is they a lot of times will focus their information on teaching one individual. They are attracted naturally towards that person who maybe doesn't get things, or maybe, and we'll talk about this person later, the needy one. They a lot of times are attracted to that person because they see the need there and they want to be patient with that person. They want to help them understand. They want to try to understand different learning styles. And so this can actually be a good and a bad thing because you know, you're helping somebody, but at the same time, you don't want it to become a one-on-one tutoring session. And a lot of times, that's what happens. Sometimes they can come off like a know-it-all. This happens sometimes, and I think that can bleed into other parts of the group. No pun intended, by the way. So adding information to what they are already teaching is good. That's a great way for all the members to kind of stay connected in the group. Sometimes you may need to redirect them if they get stuck on one topic or one point. You may need to ask them their opinion about the next thing on the itinerary or something else that was heard in class. And that, once again, that's why it's so important to have an itinerary. Asking them their opinion kind of helps transition into the next subject. One thing that I want to mention about how you can help teachers is actually giving them a break. Sometimes they get so used to playing that role of being the one who answers the questions and does the teaching that they kind of get left out from actually being able to be the student and the one who others quiz. I found myself in that position a lot where I will quiz other people and I think people begin to expect that and then I don't get quizzed. So I've always kind of wanted that, and it definitely helps when someone is quizzing you as well. Usually teachers understand that the way to be a good teacher is to also be a student as well. That helps you to just kind of stay on your toes and also continue doing what you do. The needy one. The needy one. The needy one is the one that sometimes they tend to rely heavily on others within the study group for information. A lot of times they may either have not prepared or they seem not prepared, but they're relying on the other individuals in the group to really help them know what they need to know for the test. Some things that I've noticed about these people is a lot of times they lack confidence in themselves. They may feel like they just don't know where to start. Sometimes they may even have ADHD. They may be quiet and they may not seem like they're adding any value to the group. You might even question your head like, did they go to class? Did they sleep in class? Did they do the reading? Oh my goodness, what class is this person in? Why are they here? So let's talk about the upsides. So this is the interesting thing about needy people. If you're a teacher, as mentioned above, it's a good opportunity to share your skills. This is really an opportunity for the teachers the teaching type in the group to do their thing. But just as I said before, you have to be careful about it becoming a one-on-one tutor session. If you really do want to make it that and you really find that, you know, I'm a teaching type and then there's someone else that's needy and you learn best that way, go to the university, sign yourself up for that, or plan that with just 2 people. If you like doing that. So these needy individuals will pick up on little bits of information here and there that maybe nobody else picked up on in class, lecture, reading. They will take those little pieces and throw it out there and you're like, what? How did you remember that? Or how did you hear that? One of the things that they do is a lot of times, even though they may not retain it all, when they do retain something, they retain it pretty well. And I don't know exactly why that is, maybe because they just can only focus on so many things, but they do. The next thing, growth is awesome to see. That's what we're all in school for. That's what we're all here for. And so I've found, and I've seen this in some students, that some of the ones that seem the neediest in the beginning or seem like they're not contributing a lot, the more that you kind of build their confidence, the more that they grow and they become some of the strongest people. You just gotta make sure it's in there. It is in there. Patience. They often are unprepared, or at least they seem unprepared. Maybe they did all the reading and everything went in one ear or one eye, not through the other, whatever, and they just didn't grasp it well. So sometimes they do the study and they do a lot of it, but they just have a hard time retaining or focusing on all of the information because it overwhelms them. Lack of contribution. That might be another thing that you just feel like a little frustrated because you feel like they're not adding anything. You know, you're asking them questions, they're not asking you. I've had people in groups like that wanted me to just quiz them, and then nothing back from them. And that was a little frustrating. They wouldn't give any information that they remembered. The way that I look at this is everyone has something to teach, no matter how small of the information. Remember that about them. That's super important. Smaller groups is super important for these individuals. Big groups make them feel even less like they can contribute because they might say something wrong. Give them very small, specific tasks, because this is super important because you really want them to be able to contribute to the group. That will help build their confidence. That will help other people in the group not feel like this person's just a leech. That also helps them realize that they belong. Celebrate and validate their contributions. You're not trying to be patronizing, but I think that just little comments, little things saying, wow, you know, you remember that, or that really, they will grasp that and they will take that and run with it. And what happens is you actually find them contributing more down the road. They often get stuck in the details of the assignment. So doing brief overviews of the itinerary or analogies, examples, simple things that kind of give the overview is very helpful for them. They like the simplicity of just cutting out the crap and basically giving the meat of the substance, or I won't say meat of the substance, I'm vegan, but giving the heart of the subjects. Breaks are great for these individuals, but I really think breaks are great for everybody. But the key to breaks with these individuals is not too long, because it's easy for them to get distracted and off task a lot of times because they do have ADHD. So another thing to keep them interested in the group or attentive in the group and focused is to maybe have them keep the list of clarification, and then they can get those clarification questions answered. So that's something that makes them feel like they do belong and that they're important. So the final one that I want to talk about, and you might be this person, or make sure of all of them, is the study clown. Now, what is it? I don't know if I need to do much explaining about this one. They're the ones that bring the laughter to the group. They lighten up the mood. They help keep things moving forward sometimes if there's a conflict. And it makes really, a lot of times that's the reason why, I know it was one of the reasons why that I would study in groups, because I was never a studier in groups, but just the laughing and the fun, the upsides. Laughter is super important. There's actually some research that shows that it can actually improve your short-term memory. We all need that. That could come in handy for tests that are coming up, so definitely that's a good thing. And then it helps with communication. Sometimes in group situations there may be a little bit of conflict, or it may be a little awkward, and laughter, making jokes, that can actually help dissolve that conflict and make everybody get along a little better. Improves group performance. Now, it helps people to study longer, it helps keep them on their toes, helps keep them refreshed, it helps people recall information. So that's important to remember, is that laughter, that's what it does. Is a lot of times it might be difficult, you can get off focus really quickly, and it may be difficult to keep them on track. They may make everything into a joke, so that can be a little bit tough, because you love it, but then it's like you gotta remember why that you're there. A lot of times they tend to be people who like attention, and maybe they're more focused on being the class clown or the study group clown than they are really giving content to what you're studying and be an active participant in what you're studying. A third thing that's kind of a downside with the study group clown is a lot of times they don't take things seriously, and they have a hard time reeling it back in when it's appropriate to do so. It's good to be able to laugh, but there's also a time and a place for that. And a lot of times too, the leader of the group often finds himself in conflict with the goofy one, because the leader often likes to be in control, they like it organized, they like to keep it on track, and sometimes it's easy to stay off track when you're laughing and having fun and all that kind of good stuff. You may want to specifically assign this person something ahead of time. If you are the leader or the coordinator, give them a skit to do with the content. They do amazing with skits a lot of the time, and they love that kind of stuff. And it's really ideal for them, because then they still kind of get their attention, and then also it benefits everyone in the group as well. Same thing, kind of going along with that, have them come up with a simple game, something fun to do, a little joke, or whatever they want to do. Just gives them something. Is have everyone rotate roles, and it's super important for the jokester, because a lot of times, they need to see that. They need to understand the responsibility and the struggles of other roles in the group, like the leader or the teacher. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, please subscribe. Comment below what type of person what role you fit into normally or gravitate towards when you're in a group. Be honest. And if there's something in particular that you find helps you, comment below. If you have any other ideas of different people, and there are many, put those characters in the comments and let me know about them. And then, like I said before, let us know about what ideas you have for those type of people, how to handle them. I want to hear your suggestions.